Ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. A very warm welcome to all of you. Kindly take your seats as the event will begin in a few minutes.
ਹੱਸਦਾ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਵੇਖਾਂ ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈਂ
Ladies and gentlemen, We are about to begin the event and we would request you to kindly switch off your mobile phones or put them on silent.
तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी ना जियो सोनिया जी, तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी ना खुशी है मेरी, और किसे नाल तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी ना जियो सोनिया जी, तेरी खुशी है मेरी, तेरी खुशी ना खुशी है मेरी, और किसे नाल ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਹੱਸਦਾ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਵੇਖਾਂ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਹੱਸਦਾ ਖੇਡਦਾ ਵੇਖਾਂ, ਰਹਿੰਦੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤਾਈ, ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੀ, ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਨਾ ਜਿਓ ਸੋਹਣਿਆ ਜੀ, ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੀ, ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਨਾਲ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੀ, ਹੋਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇਰੀ ਖੁਸ਼ੀ ਹੈ ਮੇਰੀ।
ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. A very warm welcome to all of you. Kindly take your seats as the event will begin in a few minutes. Namaste, ladies and gentlemen. We are now beginning the event. Our host for the evening is an actor reborn as a writer and reborn again as a director. It is with great pleasure that I would like to introduce the three-time National Award winner, Mr. Rajat Kapoor, and I request him to come on stage.
Thank you, and a very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rajat Kapoor, and it gives me great pleasure to be here at the ghat of the sacred Ganga. That's what it's supposed to be. While the city has become Venice for the day, we are at Ganga. Well, a dip in its holy waters is all one needs to be reborn, which is also our theme for the day. Rebirth as a theme is as fascinating as it's omnipresent across cultures, and is of course central to Indian thoughts and ideas. The idea of rebirth is just as powerful in the context of business. And entrepreneurs and organizations across the globe and across ages have constantly been reborn with new ideas, new imagination, and new expressions of their vision, intent, and business purpose. The Future Group, which touches everyone's lives in so many positive ways, also believes in this concept. And we have, coming before us, a beautiful performance that celebrates and expounds the Future Group values and credo. Rewrite rules, retain values.
निरूपितम् चक्रव्यूहप्रवेशस्य रहस्यं चाद्भुतं हि तत् अभिमन्युस्थितो गर्भे दिव्यज्ञानयुतो शृणु रहस्यं चक्रव्यूहस्य सम्पूर्णं न स ज्ञातवान्
Well, that was a mesmerizing story of rebirth, which is also the story of the future group values that hold true for growth no matter what the change. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce somebody who will further enlighten us on the thought of rebirth. He's a yogi, a mystic, and a visionary. He's also an author, poet, and a spiritual master with a difference. Ranked amongst the 50 most influential people in the country, he has spoken at many prestigious forums, from World Economic Forum to United Nations to the leading business schools and universities of the world. He is none other than Sadhguru, also the founder of Isha Foundation, an international non-profit volunteer-run organization with over 3 million volunteers across the world. Isha Foundation is running massive grassroots projects in ecology, health, and education, such as Isha Vidya, which is a very large-scale rural education project. Project Green Hands is the largest ecological project in Asia, having planted over 24.5 million trees. And to invite him on stage on behalf of the Future Group, I would like to call upon Ms. Ashni Bayani.
Thank you, Rajat. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for gracing this momentous journey of Future Group. My first interaction with Sadhguru was a year back, wherein I had the privilege of interviewing him on behalf of Economic Times. I had asked him what he feels is the biggest strength of India. He had replied, and I quote, "The most fundamental strength of India is that we are a land of seekers, seekers of truth and liberation." Interestingly, today's event marks an expression of Future Group's rebirth and maturity through our continuous process of seeking. I have been inspired not only by Sadhguru's confidence in India, but his sense of wit and ability to connect with so many of us across varied thoughts and interests. Sadhguru has a unique ability to distill ancient Indian wisdom into languages and the context of modern day, which I find very, very useful in understanding our complex lives better. On behalf of everyone here and Future Group, I would like to invite Sadhguru to please join us on stage and enlighten us all. It is indeed our honor and privilege to have you with us.
Namaskar. The physical world is a product of polarities. Masculine and feminine, yin and yang, Ida Pingala, Shiva Shakti, right brain or left brain, or whatever you may want to call them. The longing to find union of polarities is finding expression through ambition, conquest, love, sex and yoga. Yoga means union. Simplest form of yoga is to put your hands together in Namaskar. Namaskar brings harmony between two polarities within. Put your hands together in Namaskar and look upon someone or something with loving attention. In 3 to 5 minutes, you will begin to harmonize. Namaskar yourself into peace. Namaskar yourself into love. Namaskar yourself into union. Know the union of yoga on this International Yoga Day. Let us put our hands together and unite the world. May you unfold your being with folded hands. Jananam sukadam maranam karunam milanam maduram smaranam karunam कालवशादिह सकलं करुणं समयाद्धिपते अखिलं करुणं. Good evening everyone. I said good evening. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do anything as dramatic as the previous group that was here. Talking about rebirth. In the yogic tradition, an enlightened being is always known as a Dvija. Dvija means twice born. Once we are all born, it's a natural process which happens out of a fundamental sense of compulsiveness. There could be an element of love, there could be lust, there could be sheer compulsiveness. We don't know how, but we are born, but not of our own making. Being born the second time or being a Dvija means that you have given yourself a conscious birth. Everything that we do in our lives, just sitting here, breathing, eating, talking, activity in the world, just moving of your hand. Whether you do this consciously or unconsciously is a world of difference. Any simple act in your life, when it is performed with a certain level of consciousness, suddenly that same simple act becomes a process of liberation. That same act, if it is done compulsively, it will become a process of entanglement. These words have been thrown around quite a bit. Nobody here is unaware of the word karma. It's become an English word now. When we say karma, it just means this, we need to understand. In this culture, there has never been an idea of the God, ever. Always you were told, your life is your karma. There is no manager up there. There's the process of creation, but there is no manager up there. If you do the right karma, it works for you. If you don't do it, it doesn't work for you. Or in other words, unless you do the right things will not happen to you. It's as simple as that. Whether it is the external world or the inner world, all of you are successful enough in your lives to understand that unless you do the right things will not happen in your business world, that much you must know for sure. There was a time many people believed, and still unfortunately there are many in the country who believe they can do idiotic things and look up and say something and everything will be okay. I'm sure for all of you those days are over. When this is true with the external world, the same is true with the inner world. Unless you do the right things will not happen to you. The moment I use the word right, people generally tend to think in terms of ethic, in terms of morality. No, I'm talking about being existentially right. Being morally right, socially right, politically right is smartness of the day. But being existentially right, unless you're in tune with what is within you and what's around you, life will not work. When we talk about birth, we're talking about fresh life. The freshness of life that comes with a new birth is something that excites everybody. We've produced too many children on the planet in the last century. Our population has multiplied 4 times over. But still, when a baby is born, there is a certain excitement because the freshness of life. The freshness of life comes with many possibilities and it needs to be conducted well because today all of us know the first 4 years, which are known as the formative years of the child, becomes very important how the child shapes up later on. Freshness of life comes with a certain energy, a certain possibility, but also comes with very tender legs. We have to walk carefully when we are children. So, rebirth, conscious rebirth, is a tremendous responsibility. What our mothers did for us, we value and cherish, but giving birth to yourself consciously is significant because the idea is to make yourself the way you want yourself to be. There's Benares behind me. As you know, today at least, people think that you go to Kashi only to die. No, there was a time when people went there to live. After that, we got it so filthy that now it's only a place to die. What is the significance of a place like this? The idea is, we built many machines in the world today, the modern technologies have built many machines. What a machine means is, it is essentially a tool to enhance what we are already capable of doing. Because we can walk, we came up with a bicycle. We must understand this. Every tool and every machine that we have created on the planet is only an extension of our existing faculties. If we were made like a tree, that we were rooted to one place, we definitely would not have come up with a bicycle. From a bicycle, we extended our locomotion to many, many things today. Because we can speak, we came up with a microphone and a telephone and all kinds of phones. Because we can see, a microscope and a telescope and all kinds of scopes. Similarly, many machines are just an extension or an enhancement of human faculty. Having seen this, we came up with other kinds of machines in this country, which are subjective machines. If you're not aware of it, generally most of the Indian deities are referred to as yantras. The word yantra literally means a machine. We created a tool. This happens, we have a yogic temple which is called as a Dhyana Linga. Whenever I refer to Dhyana Linga as a tool, people feel offended, Sadhguru, don't call it a tool. This is more than our life, you can't call it a tool. Then I tell them, you do one thing, you come to the ashram, I'll give you plumbing job in the ashram. There are many things to do, you do the plumbing job. No spanners, no winches, no any kind of tools. You can use your hands, if you want you can use your teeth. Do it for 3 days. In 3 days' time, your hands will be ripped apart, most of your teeth will be gone. Then if I give you a spanner on the 3rd day, will you worship the spanner or no? We as human beings, we are who we are on this planet only because of our ability to use tools. Otherwise, I'm telling you, ants would invade us, believe me. Do not underestimate an ant. If we did not have the tools, if we did not have the ability to use various kinds of tools, simply a species like ants could take over human beings. We are quite powerless. Only thing is, we have the intelligence to create tools and use tools, otherwise every other creature is far more capable than who we are physically. So this ability to tools was taken to various levels and we evolved the technology of God-making. How to create a God, how to create an energy form for a specific purpose which will function beyond your own capability. Like a bicycle can do what your legs cannot do, though powered by your legs. Similarly, what a microphone can do, what your mouth cannot do. Similarly, subjective tools to make things happen larger than who we are, but empowered by us. So we created various kinds of deities. For each person, an individual deity, for each community, for each family, there are Kula Devas, there are family Devas, there are individual personal gods being created for that person so that they can use this as a doorway and a possibility to make their lives. Never ever in the past was it believed that this is the God, this is my God, and probably made by me, but a tool that works wonderfully for me. What I could not do with my own faculties, this is an extension of me. There are many examples. One great example that the world respects is Ramanujam. Ramanujam, the great mathematician, he wrote formulae which even today they're deciphering. Some of the things that he wrote before 1910 are describing the nature of the black hole, when the concept of black hole did not exist. Even sitting on his deathbed, he was writing books and books of formulas. People asked him, where do you get this from? He said, my Devi, I just worship my Devi, whatever she says, I write. So this was his window to the cosmos. So every deity was created so that it becomes a window or a machine through which you can function in a way you yourself could not function. Kashi was a tremendous effort in this direction. The word Kashi means a tower of light. So a huge machine with… if you do not know the structure, I don't want to go into the physical structure of Kashi, it is about 54-kilometer radius. A properly geometrically perfect machine was created. In the center is what you call as Vishwanath, which was supposed to be a tower of light and still is. This was established in such a way that it is not rooted on the ground, it is rooted about 111 feet above the ground. That is the reason why if you destroy the physical structures, still the Tower of Life exists and still draws people for what it is. So when I was in Kashi a few years ago for the first time, the journalist came and asked me, Sadhguru, what do you think about Kashi? I said, it's fabulous and filthy. It's fabulous on one level, but we have turned it filthy, definitely we need to do something about it, because people cannot experience anything beautiful unless you create the right kind of ambience. It doesn't matter how powerful and how wonderful something is, if people have to experience it, you have to create the right ambience. I hope that happens. Kishore and our Prime Minister is very committed towards this, many other people talking about it. I hope we will make that a place what it was. We need to understand this is not a religious process, this is a subjective science. How to take a human being to his ultimate possibility. How to give yourself a new birth. This is what Kashi was about. Dying in Kashi did not mean you actually physically go and die in your old age. It meant that you make a trip to Kashi, you die, you kill your old self and come back reborn. Once somebody has visited Kashi, he is reborn. That used to be the understanding, because the necessary guidance, the necessary knowledge and the necessary energy was invested in this place. But today we are just… at least some people are going there to just die when or some people are taking the old people and leaving there and coming. This is a complete aberration of the purpose for which it was created. The idea is to go there, consciously let go of who you are and be born once again. Today people are making a small effort in this direction. When you go to Kashi, you must leave something. Most people leave the bitter god and come back. They don't leave anything. The idea is to leave yourself and come back fresh, newborn. So birth means freshness. Freshness means possibility. Possibility means also problem, because possibility means it opens up an array of things to be able to choose the right thing and do the right thing at that moment. When I insist on doing the right thing, once again I would like to say, because the moment you use the word right, people think morally right, ethically right in this context. This happened one day. You're getting very serious. On a certain day, an old-timer in Michigan went out ice fishing. The Great Lakes freeze up and people can go on the lake and, cut a hole and do ice fishing. He went there, cut a small hole and sat there. Fishing is not just about fish. Of course, he carried a crate of beer with him. Sat there, it's a patience game. Entire day he sat there. As hours passed by, the beer cans started falling empty, but the fish basket also was empty. 4 in the evening, the entire crate was empty and the basket was still empty. At 4 o'clock in the evening, a boy from the downtown area with a big boom box on his shoulders, music blaring, he came jiving, and nearby he cut a hole and sat down fishing. The old man looked at him, "No fool like a young fool. I'm sitting here the entire day, not a single fish. The fool comes at 4 in the evening and with music blaring and hopes to catch fish." But in 10 minutes, the boy landed a huge trout. He looked at him in great amazement, "How is this?" Then he said, "Okay, nonsense, flash in a pan," and he focused on his fishing. In another 10 minutes, the boy landed one more big trout. Now he kept his own fishing rod aside and looked at him in absolute amazement, what is happening here? In another 10 minutes, the boy landed one more fish. Now he could not ignore him anymore. He slowly got up, kept his pride aside, walked up to the young boy and asked, "What is the secret? I'm sitting here the entire day, not a single fish, my basket is empty. Here you come 30 minutes ago, already you got 3. The boy looked at him and said, "Roo-ra-ra-ra, roo-ra-rum." I said, "What? What is that?" Then the boy turned down the music and said, "Roo-ra-ra, roo-ra-rum." So what is that? Then the boy spat a blob of something into his hands and said, "You got to keep the worms warm." No, I'm not fishing. No, you didn't go out fishing, you're not getting You have to keep the worms warm, otherwise you don't catch fish. So, when new possibilities come, new problems come. Possibility and problem are not different. One set of people look at it from one direction and call it a problem, another set of people look at it from another direction and call it a possibility. Every problem is a possibility and every possibility is actually a possible problem. If you don't handle a possibility right, it becomes a huge problem. So this freshness of life needs to be dealt with wisdom and care and above all, vision. Vision does not mean just notching yourself up, okay, in 20 years I'm going to be there, in 30 years I'm going to be here. That's not just the vision. Vision means you're able to see what is happening right now. India, I'm concerned about what's happening in India because India's economic growth has been sitting on the threshold for too long. We are on a threshold, we are on a threshold. Yes, we are on the right track. We need to understand this, especially if you're on the right track. If you sit there for too long, you'll get run over. We are sitting on the track for a little too long. You gotta be moving, otherwise it doesn't work. So this sitting on the threshold is it's giving me a little bit of this because we've been sitting on the threshold for a bit too long. For me, the economic prosperity of the country does not mean market, does not mean your international presence. What it means for me is there are 600 million people in this country who have not eaten properly for their entire life. Because you can see that for almost 60% of the rural people, their skeletal systems have not grown full size. This means they have not eaten properly for their entire life. If we do the right things, every one of you, if you do the right things in the next 5 to 10 years, this huge mass of people, we can take them from one level of living to another, not by philanthropy, but simply by progress. And such an event or such a possibility has never happened in the history of this world, that without force, such a large mass of people have been moved from one level of living to another without using physical force, either through a democratic process, through a business movement. We are sitting on such a threshold and it's important that we walk and we walk fast. If we sit there for too long, we could be run over by many things. So, this rebirth should not be just for one company in the country. The business in the country needs to be reborn in many ways. The old ways of making money and keeping it somewhere, this idea should go. We must understand, I used to… at one time, I used to farm. First time I went out farming, I just finished my graduation and I want to do farming as an entrepreneur, and I went to farm. I bought these very expensive seeds and they told me, you got to throw it. I hesitated. If I throw it, what will happen? How to throw this? Just now I paid so much money and got this, now I'm supposed to just throw it like this and the birds are waiting all over, I can see that. It took some courage to throw it. But once you throw it, only if you throw it, it will sprout and come back as a crop. Otherwise, you'll end up with just a seed which will never sprout. It's time that Indian business thinks not in terms of families, not in terms of accumulating wealth, but in generating wealth. It is not about how much we have, it's about how much is in circulation and what's happening today and what is the progress we are creating around us. Because in terms of human activity, no matter what we are doing in our lives, the only thing that truly will fulfill you is how deeply, how profoundly can you touch another life. You don't want to cook food that nobody wants to eat. You don't want to build a building that nobody wants to come into. You don't want to write a book that nobody wants to read. You don't want to make a movie that nobody wants to see. You want to do something which touches another life. This has been carefully avoided in business cultures around the world, not entirely but partially, that people are dividing their work and life. I think you are spending at least 60% of your life in business. If you call that work and life is separate, that's a tragic way to live. There is no work and life, there's just life and life. There are many things we do in life. Maybe we have a family, maybe we have a business, maybe we have a job to do. All this is life. Unless we make this our life, we will always think in terms of hoarding something, because there is work and there is life. There is only life and life, there is no work and life. If this division is taken away in our minds and look at business as a possibility to touch lives in ways beyond people's imagination, it can be done in so many different ways. Businesses can touch and transform people's lives. It is my wish and my blessing that all of you should use your capabilities, resources to make this happen, never as a charity. I don't believe in charity. This must happen by multiplying what we have, by creating the possibility for everybody to make a living in this country and the world. Thank you very much. I thought we are supposed to open up for questions, so I'll leave it at this. Yes, any kind of question, please. If you raise your hand, a microphone will come to you, please.
Guruji, what motivates you?
Oh. I'm self-propelled. This is another concept which has made its rounds in the world, that something else should motivate you to do what you're doing. If what you're doing is significant enough, you don't need any other thing to motivate you. What you're doing is truly significant to life. Why do you need another motivation to make that happen? If you really understand and experience that what you are doing is truly important for every life around you, you don't need a motivation, life just goes on. See, does your heartbeat need a motivation to keep it going? I'm asking you. All the life processes is not asking for any motivation, isn't it? Monsoon's coming, any motivation? No, it's coming year after year, because the natural process is going on. Simply like that, in you and me, life is on. What I'm telling you is, if you're doing something which is aligned with the fundamental life process of who you are, this can find a million expressions, it need not be just spiritual teaching. It can find a million expressions that what you're doing is aligned with your fundamental life process, then you will not need anything to motivate you. Simply, as a part of life, it will just happen. How much you do simply depends on how much time you invested on upgrading yourself. The problem with the world right now is, people are always trying to upgrade their activity. If you upgrade your activity without upgrading yourself, you are bound to break up somewhere. It's like you went on a Formula 1 track because you want to be on a fast track and you went with your Maruti 800. Suppose you hit the right kind of speed, all the four wheels will go in four different directions. It won't hold up. If you want to be in that kind of speed and that kind of track, you must prepare the machine. Upgradation of this one is important. If you upgrade yourself, activity will simply happen. Many people around me, many times think I'm superhuman because of that activity that I perform. This is not about being superhuman. If you explore the possibilities of being human, if you explore the possibilities of the immensity of being human, you will realize you don't have to be a superhuman, being human itself is super. So you will not need any external drive or some other inspiration, the very process of life will do it.
Namaste. You spoke about rebirth and that's also the theme of today's event. When someone consciously is on the path or decides to be reborn, what are some of the practical pointers that one should look at?
What is it?
What are some of the practical pointers or thoughts that one should go through?
Oh, to be reborn. This happened in a Sunday school in Alabama. A teacher came with great enthusiasm for the Sunday school children and asked them, What do you have to do to go to heaven? So somebody said, every Sunday if I clean the church steps, I can go to heaven, this is what the priest told me. Somebody said, if I help my friend in his examination, I will go to heaven. Half the people from Bihar must be going to heaven. Like this, each person started saying many things. One little boy who is in the last bench was simply sitting there nonchalantly. So the teacher asked, "Hey Tommy, what do you think you have to do to go to heaven?" He said, "You got to die first." So, there are no many points. You need to understand this. Like if you're talking about a business rebirth, to drop something that's failed is easy and inevitable, okay? Anyway, it'll happen. But to drop something that's successful and recreate something else out of that, this needs vision, courage, certain level of madness in you, really. Something that's working pretty well, everybody's clapping their hands, but you want to dump it and create something else out of it. This will need a completely new level of looking at life, that you must be able to see something that others don't see, only then you can do this. So what are the points? Don't go by ready-made points, because we don't know what's the ground reality. It is just that you should sharpen your ability to see. See, once you take on to a perch, when I say a perch, leadership is a kind of a perch. Once you get onto your perch, you're supposed to see better than other people. If you don't see any better than others, you will become a point of ridicule. Yes, you will become an object of ridicule because you're sitting up there and not seeing any better than others who are down there, then it's no good. So, instead of seeing what are the 5 things that I can do if I'm reborn, first thing is, are you capable of dropping what you are right now? Either as an individual, as an organization, are you capable of dropping it? Do you want to die entirely and recreate, or do you want to partially die and recreate is a judgment that one has to make on the spot, not from here. It's something, knowing the realities, we have to do it. So now that we have chosen to be reborn, we have chosen to kill something and something fresh has to come out of it. Kill is not the word, in some way dissolve something and something fresh has to be created. If something fresh has to be created, as I said, once some fresh life happens, many possibilities are open. Many possibilities are always trouble. To be able to identify which one of these possibilities am I going to walk itself is a certain exercise. The problem is people jump into something and then exercise their mind. No. Before you jump into something, enough attention and a process need to happen. Because once you jump into something, there should be no looking back. If you're constantly looking at the rear view mirror, you're not going to go forward. And the path that you jump into is not the best thing, you must understand this. You can never do the best thing in the world, yes? Whatever you jump into, if you put your heart into it and really put your life into it, it can become a great thing. It is not the best thing. Don't ever try to do the best thing, because if you try to do the best thing, all you will be thinking of is how to be better than the person who is sitting next to you. You'll waste your life trying to be better than someone else. There is no point trying to be better than someone else because you don't know someone sitting next to you may be lame and you run a little faster than him and you think you're a champion. This is not a good way to go. It is just that whatever I am, full utilization of who I am should happen. Whether I am better than somebody or worse than somebody should not even be a thought in your mind. It's such a waste of life to compare yourself to somebody. The thing is just this, whatever you have, are you able to harness it fully? This is what yoga means. Your physicality, your psychological realities and the inner energies, are you able to harness this the way you want? Right now the problem with most people is their own thoughts and their own emotions are a huge problem. When you yourself are an issue, how will you deal with other issues? The psychological drama is taking such a big toll. People are capable of suffering what happened 10 years ago, yes? People are capable of suffering what is going to happen day after tomorrow already. So people think they're suffering their past and their future. No, you're only suffering two faculties within you which make you exclusive on this planet. That is, your memory and your imagination. You're suffering your memory, you're suffering your imagination, that's all that's happening. You do not know how to handle your memory, you do not know how to handle your imagination, so you suffer what happened yesterday and you will suffer what may happen tomorrow morning. Something that is not here, you're suffering. What happened yesterday or 10 years ago, does it exist right now? No. What may happen day after tomorrow, does it exist right now? Or in other words, you're suffering that which does not exist. This is taking a huge toll. If you suffer that which does not exist, I think even medically you qualify. You know? Because you are continuously suffering that which does not exist. Don't people say, this is human nature? This is not human nature, this is the nature of people who have not taken charge of human nature. You've been given the most complex machinery on the planet is the human mechanism. This is the super computer. I'm asking you, have you read the user's manual? No, somehow. If you do somehow, life will happen accidentally, how else will it happen? Especially if you're in business, especially if you're handling the lives of many people, their well-being and their future, if you're handling, it's very important that you work upon yourself. If you see, if you understand that the work that you're doing is important, who you are needs to be worked at continuously. Not just by increasing your knowledge, not by going to university studies, but just enhancing this piece of life to a highest possible level. Because if you do not enhance this, it means you don't care what you do in the world. Leadership means just this, everything that you do, every thought that you generate, every emotion that you generate, every action that you perform impacts millions of people. When you have such a privilege, it is important that you keep this really in a good shape. Good shape is not just physical shape, in every other way. First of all, your faculties of memory and imagination must take instructions from you. They're running right. So you suffer yesterday and tomorrow. Or in other words, your own psychological drama is a bigger issue than the world. It is bigger than the cosmos, really. See, today, the planet, the sun came up on time. You know that? Mumbai people didn't see it probably, but it came up on time. Oh, what is this? Everybody knows sun comes up on time. That's not the point. What you need to understand is, you know, this happened to me some time ago. We were flying a helicopter. Because it was a nice day, we pulled off the doors and we were flying an open helicopter. Everybody who flies knows every 1,000 feet what's the drop in temperature, what's the care to be taken, all that is done. But we went up there and the sun got covered and we hit a cold front. It became extremely cold. So we couldn't stay there, we came down. As we were coming down, we just thinking, okay, if sun doesn't come up tomorrow, what will happen? So we were just guessing, maybe in 3 months, this will happen, in 6 months, that will happen. I came down and researched a bit and found out if sun disappears right now, in 18 hours' time, all the oceans will be largely frozen. Everything that you know as life on the planet will be gone, except for few microbes deep down in the earth, everything else will be gone. 18 hours. I just gave you a fantastic news, sun came up on time today morning. You're not making appropriate noises? And the planet is spinning on time, everything in the universe is going well today. The entire cosmos, these 100-odd billion galaxies, no major accident, everything is going fine. But one nasty little thought is crawling in your head and it's a bad day, isn't it? Yes? Everything in the cosmos is fantastic. One thought in your mind can destroy your day or no. So somewhere you lost your perspective. You have to get this right. Now that you're being reborn, you have to get this right. See, in this cosmos, this solar system itself is a speck. In that speck, planet Earth is a micro speck. In that microspeck, Mumbai city is a super microspeck. In that, you are a big man. This is a serious problem. This means you have lost perspective of life. If you lose perspective of life, you'll do all the wrong things. So it's important that if you are born fresh, that means you have no conclusions about anything. You are willing to look at everything like you're just born. This one faculty if you have, you will walk through life untouched. The problem is, within even the little child, within a few days, he starts thinking, I know. Once you think you know, then you start fumbling and bumbling. If you, every moment of your life you're looking at everything like you were just born, you will see everything crystal clear. When you see things clear, you walk through situations comfortably.
I have asked this question probably a couple of times, but again I want to ask, there are two questions. One is there any free will, or do we have any free will, or everything is destined?
Free will and destiny. Okay.
Or can we do anything, or is everything is destined, is computerized? And number two is today's atmosphere, how the businessman can get more credibility. Making money is not sin. In India, in general, what we should do, what are the few things we should take care to make sure that credibility is better, a businessman can be respected better, and in general, what we hear, we don't see much abroad that much, but in India we see this. So is there anything which you have advice for us?
Well, answer the second question first. The business, we need to understand, you're in a unique position or at a unique time in the history of this world. There was a time when religious leaders held that sway on the planet, they determined everything. Then came a time military rulers had the ultimate power on the planet. In the last 50 to 100 years, democratically elected leaders have the power on the planet. A time is coming that in another 15 to 25 years, I want all of you to be geared up for this, the economic or the business leaders will be the major power on the planet, they will decide everything. Now, as you said, the business leaders unfortunately come with a tag that they are vested interests. As you said, making money, this concept has to go, making money concept has to go. Business is a transaction. A transaction will find currency and continue to prosper only if both the parties benefit. If you come to know, I'm making money out of you, will you continue the transaction? No. If you see that what I'm offering you is good for you, good for me, the transaction will continue. Any transaction, if it has to endure, whether in the marketplace or in marriage, it must be beneficial to both. It's only beneficial to one, that transaction will not continue for too long. It's an exploitative transaction. So this tag is there on the business person right now. It is your responsibility in this generation to drop this tag. This means you must move from personal ambitions to a larger vision of creating a beautiful world, not by giving away something, but by creating the right kind of businesses which are beneficial to both. And only if it's beneficial to both, even without your attention it'll flourish. If it's only beneficial to you, you have to do daily circus and it'll not last very long. And is it free will or destiny? You're asking, Anil, at this stage of your life. We need to understand this. Today what you eat for your dinner definitely is your will, isn't it? Of course, what is offered within that, it's your will. So similarly, there are a few things which are determined by our birth, by the nature of how we have made ourselves, but rest is wide open. Very few things, few fundamental things are fixed. Even those things are not permanently fixed. Now, I'm sure many of you may be conversant with this, and Kashi is behind us, where people go to do karmas for their parents and grandparents. We need to understand this. This is not to honor your parent or grandparent. This is completely misunderstood. This is to distance yourself from them. These are scientific process. If it's done properly, it's become a commercial stuff that is different. If it's done properly, it is to create a genetic distance between you and your parents. Why is this important? Because if you want to be a fresh life, an independent life, you must distance yourself from your parents. Many of you would have seen this. When you were 18, you thought, no way I'm going to be like my father or my mother, this is what I'm going to do, nothing like the way they did it. But when you become 45, unknowingly you sit like them, stand like them, start talking like them. Have you noticed this happening? This is because do not underestimate dead people. They start working through you. Do you understand? Why do you think in India all the time they wanted to have sons? Because these are horribly ambitious people, they want to live through their children. And the children are performing karmas to distance themselves from the parents. Nothing wrong about this, I want you to understand. Once somebody is dead, if nature has chosen that this person should be dead, it's over. When they're alive, we will do everything possible. Once they're dead, you must distance yourself from them. This is the idea of cremation, because if you bury them, you will go and sit there every day and cry. Not only you burn them, you take them and put them in 3 different rivers so that you can't find an iota of where they are. You don't know which way to look for the dead. These methods are created so that you distance yourself. In yoga, there are various processes as to how to distance yourself from your genetic memory, because genetic memory is good for survival. It gives you a certain knowledge to survive. If you don't distance yourself from that, you will never be a new life. You will be like they say, old wine in new bottle, you are old life in new body, but same life going on. Because what you call of myself is just a certain amount of memory and information, isn't it? Yes or no? What you call as myself is a certain amount of memory and information. In physical memory, it is there. You may not remember how your great-great-great-grandfather looked like, but his nose is sitting on your face right now, you can't help it, all right? It's all right, we accept his nose, but we don't want him to live through us. I want to live my life fresh. So there are many processes how to genetically distance yourself from your parentage and from your forefathers. This is what Kashi is about. Unfortunately, people think this is a way of remembering your parents. This is a way of consciously distancing yourself. You must be aware when people take sannyas, one of the first things they do is, for their living parents, they perform karmas, not wishing them dead, just that you want to create a genetic distance and you want to be an absolutely fresh life. You don't want to be influenced by past memories which work from within you. So, there are some influences from genetic memory and otherwise, but the rest is entirely yours, entirely, 100% yours. There is just a small element which is controlled by the past, but if you do the right kind of sadhana, you can even drop that and be… this is why an enlightened being is called a Dvija, because nothing of the past has remained. Your father, your mother has been completely obliterated within you. Not out of hatred, you can still love them, but you don't want them to live through your body. You want to be an absolutely fresh life. That's why you're a Dvija, that's why you're twice born. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your brilliant words. It's really reassuring to know that the sun will come out tomorrow. Well, most likely it will come, or after 18 hours we won't be there to regret it. And what a wonderful way to look at work-life balance. There is no work and life, there is life and life. Thank you very much. And the idea of rebirth, to make yourself the way you want to be. This is what we are doing every day. We are making ourselves the way we want to be. And we are thus reborn every day, and we must keep at it. as individuals and as organizations. Forever Reborn Future Group touches the lives of millions of Indians daily in various ways. Here is a brief introduction to an idea that Future Group serves.
Dintana 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 direna direna dintana dintana direna dintana 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 direna direna dintana dintana direna dintana 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 direna direna dintana dintana direna dintana 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 direna direna dintana dintana direna
We have been a catalyst of positive change in communities, societies, and business sectors of operation. With our deep commitment to drive domestic consumption and capture every addressable need of the Indian consumer, and are seeing the vision of India's transformation into Soni Kichariya coming alive. The future will see India reborn.
It is indeed overwhelming to view how a simple vision of seeing India transform into the Soni Kichariya has managed to touch the lives of almost every single one of us. And now, the man who dreamt to bring to ordinary Indians what only the rich could afford and believed that consumption would lead the development story in India. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me immense pleasure to request the founder of Future Group, Mr. Kishore Bayani, to come up on the stage and share his vision of 2021.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here on this very, very rainy day. I think this rainy day is sending some messages. I was told, a lot of people told me, I think when Krishna's Janam happened, I think it was a rainy day. So maybe there is a new rebirth happening here. It is said to live fully is to let go each passing moment and to be reborn in each new one. It is a very, very special day for us today. The theme of the event we have chosen is being reborn. And being reborn for us is being young, being nimble, being a startup company once again. But we have a history, we have learned from our past. There has been a self-realization that has also come in the last few months, is that in business, it is not what to do which matters. It's all about what not to do, which is the most important thing. Business is also like nothing is permanent. Cycles will come and go. An organization should be able to withstand each and every cycle that comes in and goes. We think we are better now. We are much smarter than what we were earlier. At least, I think what we have learned, we have always been an optimist, always believed in India, always believed in India's consumption. I think a lot of growth has to still happen in this country. So we are very ambitious. Like Sadhguruji said, I think in your rebirth, you have to do something much, much different. So we are very, very ambitious, but this time our journey is going to be a little different. We are not going to pursue mindless growth. We are going to pursue good growth, profitable growth. We have created a lot of base for ourselves in terms of brands, in terms of retail space, in terms of people, the team which we have built, the technology which we are using, the geographic locations we have touched, the way we have understood India and its customers, its likes, its dislikes, its preferences. And this growth from now on, I believe will be a very, very healthy growth, from very, very different from what we did last time. And we are designing ourselves to deal with this growth. We have laid the foundation for this growth, and the next round of growth will come from 4 pillars, which we have now built. And we are now working on executing it with finesse The pillars which I'm talking about is going to be our entry, big time entry into food and FMCG space. A network of small stores which we are wanting to build across the country, a multi-channel network which is physical and digital space combined, and leveraging tech to talk to and communicate with our consumers. Coming to our first pillar of building up the food and FMCG business, we have laid the foundation from the vision which we had created, how to create an Indian food company. Because Indians are very different in their food palette. Food is all equal to culture, and we have to create a palette which Indians like. So I always thought there will be an Indian company, not a multinational, which will create an Indian food palette. And that's what we have been doing. We had a vision a while back that how we can create a rasoi for our stores. How can we create a large kitchen? And how can we put in each and every equipment and each and every tool to create food products which can be offered to millions of consumers in this country? And how can we offer new cuisines, new food? And that's what it happened with us when, I think exactly 9 months ago, Prime Minister Shri Narendra Ji Modi came and inaugurated our food park. And that was a moment where the whole vision came alive about building a whole manufacturing base, because in India, food has to be probably of the best quality. And I think India has not progressed in food processing as much as we should have by now. There has to be a lot of modern techniques, machineries, and a lot of quality which can create food and which can offer food which can give health, nutrition, and a lot of things to the family. So we have already started a frozen food business with a brand called Veg Affair and Taste It. That's already being marketed. We have ventured into dips and sauces through a brand called Sanji's Kitchen. Our biscuit factory, our rice mill, our flour mill, our spice mill are getting into production. We have just launching a brand probably in the next 15-20 days, a brand called Desi Atta Company, wherein we want to offer 100 varieties of flours, atta, to be available to every household in the country. 26 variants is something which we are starting with. We are looking at creating a brand around vegetables and fruits. We have launched our vegetable brand called So Fresh in the southern part of India. We have launched a brand on banana called Go Bananas already in the southern part of India. We are now looking at how we can create a big market for apples in the country and citrus food from all over the world. Another big bet we are taking on the food side is on the oats. We are setting up a huge plant in Sri Lanka to process oats. We believe oats as a food, when we researched, came out to be a food which the mothers would love to give to their children because it's a very filling food. It has a lot of health benefits and can be blended with many food items. We'll be launching a new brand here, and probably in the next 4 to 5 months, we want this oat brand to be a part of every kitchen household in the country. In beverages, we have partnered, we have taken a license, which is a brand from California. We already launched their juices. We have just launched jams. We are exploring launching confectionery in this brand. Our entry into bakery and dairy has happened through our acquisition of Nilgiris, which is a 105-year-old company into bakery and dairy. Now we want to take this brand Nilgiris nationally on the dairy business. We'll be soon launching this brand Nilgiris Dairy in the north, and then probably we'll move into the eastern and the western region. We are also in various stages of freezing partnership in ice cream and frozen desserts, into chocolates, and many food factories. We believe we'll be running more than 40 food factories in joint venture in partnerships or with some buyback arrangement to build an entire food business and strategy. In the personal care space, we have recently acquired a brand called Kara, which has got us into the personal hygiene space. We are just built a brand called Swiss Temple, which will be launched sometime this year, which will be shampoos, soaps, body wash, and this is being done with a joint venture with a leading European company, which should be launched probably by the end of this year. Each of these brands and categories have been chosen after decades of watching and learning from our customers within and outside our retail stores. Over time, we have created specialized teams in consumer insights, brand development, packaging, and design, which can help us to create products and brands much faster than anybody else. The coming together of these brands and small store network, I believe, will be the game changer for us. By 2021, with our brands and the small store network which we are building up, we believe 70% of the merchandise we'll sell will be our own brands in our store. Beyond the 190 Big Bazaar outlet, we are expanding now our small store network from 500 stores today to more than 4,000 stores in the near future. Nilgiri's and Bharti Enterprises Easy Day network is fueling our small store outlet plan. It adds to our existing outlet called KB's and Aadhaar, which will help us to build this. I think it's a very ambitious plan of building 4,000 stores in the country, especially the small stores. But after merging ourselves with Easy Day, they have a model of 2,500 square feet of a retail store model which operates in very, very small towns, even in population of 25,000. And that productivity of that stores are probably better than the productivity in the urban centers. I believe that that format can be taken all over India. Earlier we have done it in fashion, wherein we sell more than 15 crore garments every year. And more than 80% of the garments what we sell in our stores are our own brands. So we are wanting to replicate the strategy which we did in fashion in the food and FMCG space as well. The third pillar of growth is going to be building a multi-channel network. I think with the physical presence of 244 cities and Big Bazaar direct experimentation which we have done in some pin codes in India around assisted commerce, and with the multi-channel expertise with Hybris, we want to cater to more than 13,000 pin codes in the country. Our supply chain company that we have built, Future Supply Chain, is developing expertise in last mile delivery channel. The company has probably built a logistics which will be one of the lowest cost models compared to everybody else in the country. We believe our delivery cost, the last mile delivery, will be 10% of probably the pure online players' cost, what they are incurring today. The multi-channel business can also help in adding up and connecting to more customers already from our existing infrastructure. On the technology space, we are again working with multiple partners. We already launched a price match application that if anybody buys any product from our stores and any other stores are offering it cheaper than us, we can credit the money, the difference, to their mobile account directly. We have also aligned with Amazon for selling our own brands and products, and we are also working with them to create microsites for each of our brands for the online world. The fourth pillar for us is going to be data science. From our loyalty partnership with American Express Payback, our partnership with Tata Docomo on offering airtime free with every purchases to the consumers, and the Big Bazaar Profit Club we have created. We have more than 2.8 crore customers, 28 million customers on our loyalty base. We have now stitched together some key partnerships that are focused on the future of commerce. Dunnhumby, the world's leading consumer science company, is now our joint venture partner, along with many, many more analytics firms, which are helping us to understand the consumers and the way they are shopping. Today, since getting reborn, I want to acknowledge a lot of people who have been part of our transformational journey. We have been privileged to have Dr. Ramcharan, who has spent hundreds of hours with me and the leadership team, guiding, mentoring, coaching us on execution especially, because I always believed business is all about art and science. We learned the art part of it quite a lot, but the science part of execution was something which Mr. Ramcharan has been influencing and teaching us. Also, Mr. Anil Agarwal, who is present here, who has been instrumental in bringing Bharti Enterprise and Future Group together, and who has been instrumental in also teaching me personally on reducing complexity in day-to-day working and how to detach oneself whenever required so from business. Also want to acknowledge Mr. Love Goel, who I have met him today first time. He is known to be the father of multi-channel retail in the world. He has flown down all the way from Florida here today to spend a day with us to understand India and its multi-channel and retail opportunity. It's been a very interesting day I've spent with him, and I believe he's one person who has created value of more than $3 trillion of shareholder by digitizing physical retailers. So there are many more amongst you from our global partners here, Dunnhumby, Buller, Generali, Amazon, Dole, Clarks, and to our many, many Indian partners and our suppliers here in the audience. With all this coming together, This year, our current business size should be around 22,000 crores plus, and if we compound at 25% every year, we can touch around 75,000 crores of business. If we add up some inorganic growth to this and the multi-channel strategy which we implement, I think we can touch the number which we want to achieve, 100,000 crores. So we are becoming audacious, we are becoming ambitious, and we want to try that whether in the next 6 years can we grow up the business 5 times. Additionally, we have built data science capabilities we want to build, wherein how can we look at making 1 crore household in India shop 100,000 rupees each across all our formats. And that's something which we have initiated, and we will going through the journey of asking the consumers to shop with Future Group, not shop anywhere else. We are ambitious, but we think this time we have built the foundation. And I think I am seconded by the talk of Sadhguruji that being ambitious and changing your clothes is not bad. So the new growth is also, to my investor friends, I want to tell them that this time the disproportionate allocation of capital is only going to be put where we can grow profitably. So we are not looking at growing this business out of debt. We are going to use our cash flows, and only incremental spending of capital will be deployed to do this business. Finally, I think with so much of pessimism around our television and news and the monsoon which has been there today, we think there is more merit in being a die-hard optimist. I think we all need positivity, a bit of self-belief, a bit of can-do spirit. I remember when we started our retail business, I said we are lucky. We are lucky to be in the right business at the right time in the right country. At this moment of rebirth, we can be lucky once again if we are reborn to deal with the new customers, if we get into the rhythm of doing business in a newer way, and we'll be lucky if we get your support and guidance as we got earlier. I'm once again looking forward to this journey with all of you. Many more people will join us in this journey. But just to tell you, you have always been around us, and I'm so glad today that despite the weather, despite all the situation, everybody has been here to support us and to give us some blessings. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Biani. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I'm sure everyone now is even more eager to know what lies ahead. Let's take a look.
Generation. These children born in the 21st century are a new tribe called the Millennials, also known as Generation C. By 2021, almost 1 out of every 2 Indians will be a millennial. With the Millennials rewriting the rules for tomorrow, the young, as we know them, will soon be passing. The millennials are growing up in India that celebrates abundance and choice. For the millennials, there is no idea of perpetuity. They seek change, and disruptions rule life. Celebrating multiplicity of identity, profession, and expression. And with the multiplicity of networks creating new relationships, the future is now, and entrepreneurship is in the air. The future belongs to the millennials, and they will be driving the opportunity explosion in the Indian market. India took 61 years to become a $1 trillion economy. but in 8 years doubled it to $2.1 trillion. In another 5 years, that is by 2020, it will cross $3 trillion. By 2021, around 450 million Indians will belong to the 21st century. And India will also see 130 million senior citizens, 50 million working women, 30 million tech workers. 10 crore households will have a monthly income of over 25,000 rupees. What will they buy? Food will become an $865 billion market. Fashion will be a $225 billion arena. Home and electronics will be a $752 billion opportunity. And the Future Group is ready with its 1:1 strategy. Today, we see 32 crore consumer footfalls and 2.8 crore customers are part of our loyalty networks. And 1.2 to 1.7 crore unique households. That's 1 out of 5 households in urban India. 2021, Future Group aims to capture annual spends of rupees 1 lakh per year from 1 crore of these households who are part of its existing loyalty networks and deliver revenues of rupees 1 lakh crore. This will be done by having strategic partners. Dunhundy, the world's leading consumer science company, which works with leading retailers like Tesco and Kroger's, will help us analyze data of over 28 million consumers, along with Infinite Analytics, a MIT Media Lab startup, and Manthan, a Bangalore startup. Hybris, a leading omni-channel enabler for retailers like Galleries Lafayette, Toys R Us, Migros and more, is building our digital interfaces that will complement our physical presence in 244 cities. By 2021, our own food and FMCG brands will contribute 2/3 of our food business. And a 4,000 small convenience store network will bring us closer home to millions of customers. And ultimately, it will be via superior brands, retail networks, data science and technology that will grow the food, fashion and home businesses at a CAGR of 22 to 30%. Future Group, now reborn to take on India tomorrow.
Well, that's an astounding glimpse into the future, brimming with possibilities. Let us take a deeper look at the achievements within the multiple categories the Future Group focuses on. Can we see how the Future Group will impact food consumption in India to come?
India, food is culture, and sharing food lies at its heart. Sharing begins much before food is on the plate, starting at farms when neighbors and kith and kin join hands in tilling, sowing and harvesting of crops. From Sikh langars to the dastarkhans, from folklores to feeding the infant, morsels dedicated to each family member. The joy of food is experienced only when shared. Food is the source of identity and of prosperity. And Future Group believes in bringing prosperity to India through food. Through working with producer groups and farmers across 51 locations pan-India. Making and packaging it at the modern Rasoi of India, the India Food Park, and 11 other locations while ensuring the best of nutrition and taste is retained. Building brands conceived for India and for the Indian of tomorrow. Bringing in the best from the world and delivering it to consumers closer to their homes. Today, at more than 500 locations, and by 2021, at over 4,000 locations, sharing the joy of food. Future Group. India tomorrow.
Well, I see this AV has made all of you hungry. I don't blame you. Food is undergoing such a fascinating change in the way it is being made, and even more in the way it is being presented. Food is becoming fashionable, and fashion is becoming good enough to eat. But what of fashion itself? Shall we take a look at how India is getting more fashionable? Future Group has been offering the best of fashion that takes India to the world. Clearly, the future of fashion lies in new demographics, new expressions, new festivals, new occasions, new rituals, and new role models. Shall we take a look at two such role models?
It's a time I spend with me. It's the time I am free. In the summer, I feel it. In the summer, I need it. It's the season to feel it. It's the reason to feel it. FBB. Hey baby, you're irresistible. Hey baby, you're so powerful, powerful. With your sex appeal.
FBB Spring Summer Collection.
With your sex appeal.
Well, the Future Group produces over 7,500 different styles in 20,000 options. From the humble kurtis to the modern shurtis, from India's only women's denim brand to a brand dedicated to yoga, from the hottest fashion designers to garments made by self-help groups, Future Group sells over 10 crore garments through a multi-channel approach. Did you know that Future Group has over 50 homegrown and international brands? I didn't. Let's take a look at some of them. Well, donning some of these brands are the FBB Femina Miss Indias. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for FBB Femina Miss India, supranational Miss Afreen Vaz. Please welcome FBB Femina Miss India Grand International Miss Vartika Singh. And finally, we have FBB Femina Miss India World Miss Aditi Arya. Thank you, ladies. Future Group, rewriting rules while retaining values. The next person I would have liked to invite on stage is a game changer in his own capacity. I speak about none other than Mr. Sunil Bharti Mittal, the founder and chairman of Bharti Enterprises and the creator of one of India's largest consumer business. Born in India, today Bharti Enterprise is a global force with presence in multiple countries in South Asia and Africa and businesses spanning across telecom, retail, realty, financial services and agri-products. Mr. Sunil Mittal has been honored with the Padma Bhushan and he is an alumnus of Harvard Business School. He has led partnership with global leaders like Singtel, SoftBank, AXA and Del Monte. And more recently, Bharti Enterprises and Future Group have joined hands in the consumer space with the integration of the Easy Day network with Future Group's retail business. Due to extenuating circumstances, Mr. Mittal is unable to be present here. However, we have with us his message. Can we please have the video?
A very good evening to all of you. At the outset, let me apologize for not being personally in Mumbai today. I had promised my dear friend Kishore that I will personally come and be a part of this wonderful event. But some exigency has not allowed me to be in Mumbai today. Nevertheless, I'm happy that I have got this opportunity to speak to you through the video. And in these few minutes, let me share some of my thoughts. At the outset, my compliments and congratulations to the Future Group for having set up this event today of what has been titled as FutuReborn. And two very eminent persons who are on the panel today are most appropriate to take this theme forward and set the stage for truly a new future group for the future. Sadhguruji is a very renowned person, and I'm sure he will give us the spiritual and the overall arcing theme of the rebirth. We also have Ram Charan, who is a mentor to many of my industry peers and colleagues. I personally have had the benefit of having his participation in some of the Bharti events, and I have no doubt that he's going to energize the Future Group today in Mumbai. Bharti is an example of a company which has had many rebirths in the last 25 years of its existence. I am reminded of a not too far off event in 2002 when Bharti Airtel was struggling in the marketplace with the launch of some significant new players on one side and the Government of India through BSNL on the other. The question was not if, the question was when will Bharti collapse? We had a small team of young leaders. We got together and strategized our way forward. And the outcome of that two-day session was that we need to reinvent ourselves. If we have to survive, if we have to keep our head above the water and eventually be strong enough to fight the big boys, we had to strategize, we had to rethink, we had to reinvent, and in a sense, take a new birth. And that's exactly what Future Group is going to do through this event today. Our strategy worked. From 2002 onwards, this company never looked back. Today in 2015, we are the world's largest telecom company. We are number 4 in terms of subscribers. We are in the top 10 in terms of revenues. But importantly, in the area of innovation, we are ahead of many, many other telecom companies. What we did at that time was path-breaking, was revolutionary, of outsourcing network deployment, outsourcing network management. Importantly, we started to buy the capacity coming out of the networks rather than buying the network elements. In one fell swoop, we put out our entire IT in the hands of IBM. It was the world's largest contract ever given by a telecom company, a 10-year contract in which the entire spectrum of IT was handled by IBM. And that kind of takes me into the international examples of companies who have achieved the rebirth, so to say. And IBM, to my mind, is one of the most talked about stories of having been reborn. Under Louis Gerstner, we all know that IBM reinvented itself from a hardware company to a software and services company. IBM almost was written off 15, 16 years back. IBM came very strongly on the back of software and services and continued to reinvent itself to now be one of the premium, iconic companies around the globe, not only just in IT, but across all spectrum. Nokia is another example which is dear to my own industry. Nokia came from nowhere as a timber company to be the world's finest telecom company, one of the finest telecom terminals company. And for a period of 10, 15 years, it ruled the world of mobile telephony, both on the network side and more importantly on the handset side, understanding local needs, understanding local requirements, to a point where Nokia had over 80% of Indian market for mobile phones. But the company could not continue to innovate itself. It could not continue to reinvigorate itself to come up with new products. And when the race shifted to smartphones, Apple, Samsung and others decisively won the battle. And Nokia, which came from nowhere, the mobile division at least went into being nowhere. I have no doubt what is being set out today as FutuReborn is a very, very important landmark in the history of Future Group. What you will decide today, what you will come out as your strategy to move forward will define how this group in the years to come will be seen. Given Mr. Biani's very strong penchant of doing the right things, understanding the customer mindset, knowing the retail space, I have no doubt the challenges that he faces today will start to dissolve with the help of all the future leaders, all those people who have worked within the Future Group. And I have no doubt the future is going to be extremely bright. I am delighted that we have had a small participation in the Future Group by way of assimilating our own retail business into the leaders' business that is Future Group. And I hope and wish that all of us in the future retail story be very successful and be counted among the best in the world. So good luck and good wishes.
Well, the future is bright. Thank you, Mr. Mittal, for sharing the story of Bharti Enterprises, innovations, and rebirth. And now let me tell you a little about our next guest of honor. Jack Welch says that Ram has the rare ability to distill meaningful from meaningless and transfer it in a quiet, effective way without destroying confidences. While Ivan Seidenberg, the former CEO of Verizon, calls Ram his secret weapon. They are just two among the dozens of Fortune 500 CEOs who swear by Dr. Ram Charan's advice. For the past 18 months, Mr. Kishore Bayani and the leadership team at Future Group has been working with him, distilling the vision, strategy, and execution for its Vision 2021. I will now request Mr. Kishore Bayani to kindly join me back on stage to welcome Dr. Ram Charan.
So, I think it's an honor to have Mr. Ram Charan here, and I would love to come and address us, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me in the back? I'm very honored to be here. These are the occasions when I also get a chance to ask questions, learn from each other. My mission in life is to learn every day, working with practitioners. I will be very brief for 15 minutes. I have only one idea to talk about, and I'd like to have some question answers towards the end. Is that okay with you? Everybody clear? Here is my simple sentence. The revolution going on today, economically, is far more important, deeper and wider than the Industrial Revolution. Each of the leaders have to promise, we will not be disrupted, we will be the disruptors. How does that sound to you? Make sense? We have strengths, we have brain power, and my message here that I'd like you to take 3 things home and work with your teams. They are simple 3 things. First, the future is created. People create. My suggestion is work on daily, weekly, monthly, what are the catalysts of this future. I'll give you examples firsthand. When I'm allowed to see these things, I seldom publish them and say, human beings are the catalysts. Who are they? Where are they? The catalysts stay today, and they create the future. In that future, they shape the future. Some of you probably heard of the most successful hedge fund called Bridgewater. I work with them, and in their criteria in selecting people is who are the shapers of the external change. It's a major criteria in trying to assess that. So the item number 1 is the recognition who are the catalysts. Number 2 is some suggestions for you what to do, and number 3, what not to do. That's my agenda this evening. How does that sound to you guys? Make sense to you guys? Now, very simple, as I take you through real examples where I have been personally involved and never published. I would like to get some participation here. How many of you have an iPhone? Please raise your hand. Look at the market share. What's wrong with you? Large, how huge margin again. And Sunil Mittal about Nokia, I'll tell you firsthand, because I saw the whole thing. How many of you have an iPad? How many of you have both? Do you need both? Going forward. 1996, the chairman of DuPont, retired, who had been on the board of IBM, Citigroup, joins the board of Apple. And he calls me up. I've been with him 30 years. He calls me up and he says, Ram, there is no life in this company. 3 CEOs have been taken out. Company is declining. And then he says, I can't understand. There's no life in this company. This is a southern person, lean and thin fellow, very quiet and very people-oriented. So he shows the board that Apple has no life, it's declining, it can go bankrupt in a year. He gets the board to agree to sell the company. They recruit Goldman Sachs. And Goldman Sachs come back with the answer, there is no buyer. How do you feel about that? He calls me to call Michael Dell. I call Michael Dell's number 2 guy, Mort Topher, and he says, I don't want to buy it. He calls another friend to call Compaq. Remember Compaq? Ackert Pfeiffer? And Ackert says, no. Now what do you do? He calls me. He said, do you teach this case? I say, I sure do. Any answers? I said, no, Ed. They all throw their hands away. And later Michael Dell says, why don't you shut up your shop and give the money back to shareholders? So Ed, who's very quiet, but he is a shaper. He's a creator. And he and I talk all the time because I've been working with him on other things. He says, Ram, why the brand does not die? Think about that. The life is gone or going, but the brand does not die. And that's a great question. So we have a give and take. And I said, Ed, what does it need? It says it needs to be really going on the attack. Those words still ring. Go on the attack. You're dying, and the chairman is saying, go on the attack. So he talked to some other business person, and the other person asked the question, what does Apple need? And Ed says, it needs product. And his friend says, go and get Steve Jobs back. That's how Steve Jobs comes. He had one condition. You wouldn't believe this, but it's true. Fire the board. Ed, you stay, the rest of the board goes. Ed asked him why. He says, this is the board that take this company to the bankruptcy. Now he comes in. Now please note, my purpose is not the story. No. These are the facts. My purpose is something else. He comes in, he makes his changes, makes the changes. At one point, he goes to Ed, to his home in Delaware. He says, Ed, I want to go into stores business. Ed says, I was on the board of IBM. Those stores never worked. There was a company called Gateway. Its stores never worked. And Steve continues to go after him. Eventually, Ed gives in. He said, okay, create 2 stores. First one failed. Second one, totally new concept. Now, please note, I've been told, at least by 2010, Apple stores had the highest gross margin per square foot per year ever from any business. Any business, including jewelry. Now, is that creating a future? Is that being disrupted? Or is it becoming a disruptor? Am I clear? You need courage, imagination, and people with you who have the heft to shape the future. Be very practical, take some risks. That's yet not my point, because I have a point for all of us. So he comes out, better Mac. You all know the iPod. iPod initially was invented in Germany. Japanese had MP3. iPod has no new technology. And that thing moves, there he gets the iTunes. Sony, in fact, tried for 2 years, did not succeed. This is well documented. When it comes to iTunes and begins to move to apps, there is this, what Sunil was talking, a shaping decision to shape the future. Sunil's was that revenue sharing, giving the whole thing to IBM. It was the first ever in the telecommunication industry. Brilliant, now it's the largest. His was to use algorithms and digitization and sensors. Those three things, they've been here for ages. Those three things to become not only integrating hardware, software, but putting the algorithms and digitization and sensors at the center of his platform to take the company for the future. He built the new iOS, you all understand that. Nokia did not. Motorola did not. It was all known, didn't do it. So idea here is that these algorithms, these digitization, these sensors, and that's my suggestion to you, is going to change every industry, bar none. This began with the trading. It is done in geology. It became more commercial through Jeff Bezos in books than music. Today is Hollywood. How many of you heard of Netflix? Netflix. It was a blockbuster type, emailing. He takes a beating. Shareholders hate him. Stock price goes down. You now have a streaming. Is that going to have disruption in Hollywood? Is Amazon jumping in it? So many of us say, well, that's technology. Those technologies are going, that's fine. I'd like to suggest to you, which I'll give you examples in a minute, those three things, their combination, the new strategy is not low cost, high margin, differentiated. New strategy is platform building. That platform gives you innovation, flexibility. The centerpieces of that platform are those three: algorithms, which is mathematics, digitization, and sensors. If you don't have the capabilities, you need to consider building them. So here I go some examples. I mentioned books, music, Hollywood. What is Airbnb? Accommodation. I got an email yesterday from an editor of a large magazine where the CEO of Airbnb is sitting and the CEO of Marriott are sitting together. Does it have some implications? Is somebody going to be disrupted or somebody's going to disrupt? It's nothing more than those three items: digitization, sensors and algorithms, and of course the sophisticated software. We now have 23andMe. This is you take your saliva or blood in a kitty. For $99, they will be able to track for you, are you susceptible to fatal disease? This was invented by the wife of the two founders of Google. In the working and developing all that, Sergey Brin, who's the co-founder, this thing found a fatal possibilities for him. So he's pouring billions of dollars in that philanthropy and detecting that first. FDA has not approved it. The technology is here. It's going to affect the healthcare system as we go forward. So here, I'll give you another one. General Electric conducted a test, what I will call a contest. An Indonesian figured out, using 3D, to create a nozzle in the aircraft engine through the 3D. It is now being used. You saw in the commercialization a car done 24 hours through 3D. They're saying they're going to sell it for $20,000 next year. Now, my point to the group is, I'd love you to think about, first, we're going to shape the future we are not going to be disrupted. When I see the people in Google, in Facebook, in Netflix, guess what is the majority of those engineers? They're Indians. Second is Israelis. Third is Iranians. And I'm saying we have the manpower. We need the leadership to see the catalysts, what those catalysts are. Who are they? Where they're driving it? What kinds of things? So I'll mention to you, catalyst number one, I'm repeating, sensors, digitization, and algorithms. Take the fear out of the algorithms. We can learn anything. You don't have to be a coder. You need to know how does it alter the old place, which way it really goes, and therefore create new demand, new ways. Number two, the power has passed to the consumer. And that's because of those three things: cheap communications, consumer behavior, connectivity, social media. So think about the second part, what's really happening. The third part is the discovery of shale gas has now created the political rebalance between Middle East, America, and the various parts on the whole oil equation that some of you know better than I do. Look at those catalysts. I just described to you those three. There are many more. What I've not said is the product of those is the mobile phone. When the 5G is here, we have a different game. And 5G is going to be here. So we look at your business from that angle and not from the angle from the old core competencies. Am I clear on that first part? Ask your people to do Googling once a week and look for the catalysts. It's all there. Who are these people who are driving it? What is the key thing they're using it? They are present here today. If they drive it, you will be able to see what's really coming in. Let me take you to the second item. And that is some ideas for you to think about. Then I'll mention the third item, what not to do. The first item I want you to think about is the mindset. Your mindset, your team's mindset. Stop looking into the rear view mirror. The greatest mistake we're going to make, these are our core competencies. Build on them. Renewal, rejuvenation, reinvention, rebirth requires cultivating, building some new core competencies. So I want you to think about, as you go for the future, what new core competencies you need to build, how soon can you build, what experiments you got to do, and which ones have to be shed and taking them from the seat of power. That's where the difficult parts are. I will describe Mr. Goyal is here, about the Brazilian thing that I'm allowed to see with him. So the first part, what to do, is the mindset. In that mindset, you see, you have the right people, and these people are going to come from millennial group. We cannot fire the millennials. They are the reality. So we need to get the millennials and that thing coming into the positions of responsibility. They're going to be here in 5 years. That's not a choice. So how do we get the right people in the right jobs, but they look through the lens of these sensors, digitization, mathematics, and the global shift? I just very simple way mentioned to you. Am I clear about the mindset? Number two, look for new core competencies and remove from power the old core competencies that are not relevant. It's very difficult for people to do. And that is the part I'd like you to think about. Now, the third thing that I want you to do is organize your company customer facing. Most companies are organized on product basis because without the customer facing, we don't see end-to-end consumer side. So this is a very difficult job, especially for most banks. Most banks, they know the digitization, they know the sensors, they know the algorithms are here, and they're losing certain segments of money making. They know all that. But they are still organized on a product basis. We've got to organize on a customer basis because the differentiation is the end-to-end consumer touch points. And that's where this game is going to be played. Am I clear on those 3 points? Let me mention to you what not to do. I've seen enough mistakes now. Sony tried it, didn't succeed, is still not succeeding it. I want to mention the companies that are at crossroads right now. IBM is on a crossroad. McDonald's is at a crossroad. They're big companies. They're great companies. Walmart came on the defensive. In some countries, Walmart is being shown the door. Local guys are succeeding. They figured this out, use those tools. What not to do, number one, this is very important. Don't mix the existing business with the new model. This is very important. The psychology of making decisions of the existing business is very different from the psychology of building this new business, which is digitization, sensors, and the algorithm-based. Margins are lower, scale is up. In this game, consumer matters. Information is online. When you build that business, it gobbles a lot of cash. And its metrics, measurements are very different. So start separately. Don't mix the two. If you mix the two, you will have confusion both ways. Number two, if you start them separately, you got to rethink totally financing differently. Those things are valued differently. Those things are marketed differently, and the market will fund you on this basis. One of the companies that have done very well is BMW. Tesla is giving them the technology, it's free. Technology, they'll have their own technology. So the BMW guys figured it out, I believe, and therefore I begin to see the progress coming in. So that's the second part of it. Your reward system for the new business is very different from the reward system of the existing business. Here are the two dilemmas, and then I will open up to the questions. Dilemma number one, you're going to be facing the issue in many industries of declines in margin in the core business. It's going to happen in many businesses. You can work harder, all that, but recognize that on a revenue basis, the existing business overall, unless you expand your horizon, is it really going to shrink? That's what happened to the music business. That it began to shrink, it's being rebirthed going forward, and it's going to happen that way. So that's one dilemma. And second dilemma is that progress in the new business does not come very quickly. So how many of you heard Bezos in Amazon continues to show the losses and the stock price continues to go up? And that's because I saw him last May. Warren Buffett there, he's there, they're talking. For the new business, you have to find your own different investors. Investors for the existing business are different from the investors of the new business. So what's my suggestion? Number one, learn daily, weekly, get your people to identify the catalysts that are shaping the world in the economic area. They are human beings. In that one, I picked only one, and that is digitization, sensors, and algorithms. They are the ones going to shape every sector of the world. Get it on the offensive side, on the attack side. And that part gives you the leeway to go forward. Your market values will go up. The third point is your mindset, the right people, separated, different metrics, different funding, different shareholders. Last part, deal with the dilemma. Progress doesn't come out in 1 year. So here I was allowed to see this, Mr. Goyal. How many of you heard of a company called 3G? 3G? This is a Brazilian company. 20 years ago, it was nothing. 3 people from Haransia got together. The top man was the world champion in tennis. And these people from investment area coming in and they bought what I would like to call broken brewery in Brazil, bought it, and they went through, and they are number one in the world. They bought Anheuser-Busch when it has 50% market share. So I'm allowed to work with them and see the whole thing, and I can take you through all the details. But one of them, his name is Beto, and I would ask Beto to meet Mr. Miani. He is in charge of their retail business in Brazil, which is bricks and mortars and also online. Initially, they had the two together. There comes Mr. Goel, and he has experience in it, and he shows that, segregated it, listed it, put the analytics in it, and now you see the thing going both market value and be able to do that. Now, why do I mention that to you? It's not who did it, but was done. The greatest fallacy, if you're doing the two things combined in one pot with the idea of synergy, in this case, synergy initially does not work. That's the difference. You get both healthy, then you can create some synergy in purchasing, maybe in logistics. It's a different game. I believe, I see it. If I have Indians, engineers in those companies, guess where they're coming? They're putting them in Bangalore. We have the wherewithal. We are in India. China has some, Alibaba, Tencent. I look at Tencent, Baidu, not much. Israel has some, America has some. We have the building blocks. None in Indonesia, none in Malaysia, little in Singapore, zero in Middle East other than Israel, none in Africa. Do we have an opportunity? Do we have an opportunity in the new game? Do we have people? We got to take the opportunity. Future is built. We are at a crossroad. Whenever there's a revolution, there is a creation of new opportunities. This one is creation of opportunities. It's also destruction of the old order. Part of the retail is gone in America. There is it's not just disruption, it's destruction. So we have the mental power. You all know this. Sunil has shown it. Mr. Agrawal has shown it. Funds will flow where the opportunity is. Funds availability is not an issue. Issue is talent and leadership. Every single company is going to have it. So I'm leaving with you two questions. Be intellectually honest when you go back home. On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being highest, is your mindset, if your company has the right mix of the platform that will drive the change, and that is algorithms, digitization, and sensors. If not have it, should it have it? By when it have it? And how, number two, you are not going to be disrupted. You are going to create new, and you will be the disruptors. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have to say, and I will be open to questions. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, please. Microphone here? Yeah.
I am told that Jack Welch had said that when the outside change is higher than or faster than the internal change, your company is dead.
Absolutely.
Now, how do you really keep the internal systems
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
in sync with the external change?
Yeah. It's a great question, continual question. And there are three things that I have seen. The first one in the people in power, CEO, people around. In the American case, some boards have actually killed the companies. For example, Yahoo. Very hard, very hard. So the first one is the divine discontent with the status quo. Never satisfied. And a good deal of their time is on the outside. People now go into various places. Some go to singular university, some go to private equity. Many of them absolutely focused on the consumer like Mr. Biani does, like Mr. Goel does. So the first part is you're outside in and you're into the ground floor to see what these external changes are coming. I believe Mr. Mittal does that, Sunil Mittal does that. But the people in power has to lead it first. They've got to set the examples. The second item is they always carry out some experiments. What are those experiments? New buildings, new kinds of things, and they carry that out. And number three is more difficult. And the number three is, if your people, I have this rule 98-2. 2% of the people have 98% of the impact. If those 2% are losing their curiosity, their seeking of the truth of the change, it's not going to happen in the company. So those are the three things come to my mind. Does that get to your point here? And thank you. Yeah, please.
Digitization is definitely taking the future. How much time does the brick and mortar really have?
Okay.
How much time does brick and mortar really have? If
Brick and mortar?
Yes, if digitization is taking over.
This is in retail. Yeah, I want you to know this. Creativity has no ends. What I don't want people to do, then I'll answer your question. Online will never come in my business. That's not a good attitude. Pick any business you want. It'll come out in some fashion. Because the monetization, in addition to the hard merchandise, is the monetization of data, information, its use, and multiple sources of revenues. I just want to make sure everybody understands. It's not, I just sell the clothes. It's an important vehicle. Much more than that is the data. What you do, how to get. For example, then I'll come to your question. How many of you have ever bought from Flipkart, Snapdeal, Amazon, Alibaba, any of those? There's a good percentage here. So, Mr. Bezos, I couldn't believe this. I never thought of it. You know, when you ship these things, it goes in the cardboards to the people. So he just got the contract from Hollywood to advertise on those cardboards for the future coming movies. Only the platform can do that. New strategy is not what I taught at Harvard. New strategy is a platform. It has to be revised. Apple has revised twice in the last 10 years. His major competitor, you can imagine, has not yet done. That's why they're not succeeding. So I come to your point now. So we're looking back, and this is a very important question you raise. Work backwards on the consumer, always. And then say how this consumer behavior is changing, and social media changes the behavior. So if you work backwards, you will find people in an imaginative way using, and I'll give you a live example, using the right combination of the two. Apple is a living example to show. It's a bricks and mortar, it's online. And it also allows the competitors online. And that bricks and mortar is extremely profitable. So I have said to some people without naming them, here is the catalyst. It took 1 year to attract Angela Aaron from Burberry to come to Apple. She's in charge of the Apple stores. and I've known her in her previous birth. I say, you better guess where these stores are going. I give you my guess. My guess is fashion. That's what she knows. So you need, but the right integral mix, not just this is what we have. You got to have imagination backwards from the consumer. Very good question. Yeah, please help us.
It's quite obvious to most people now that online is disrupting the physical across industries. Now, what can disrupt online? For example, today, Google is almost ubiquitous. So is there anything that you can see with your vision and wisdom? What can disrupt a Google, for example? It's almost sounding invincible.
No, it's a great question. Let me give you one basic part of it, see if it helps. It may not. When I get to see these people, I try to figure out, because please note, age has nothing to do with it. That's the thing I want to mention that. Age has nothing to do with it. And I will also tell you, a PhD degree has nothing to do with it. Because we have people who have no degrees, and they can do this. I mean, algorithms they can do. So I come to your question now. So I want you to know one thing, and I urge all of you to think about this. You imagine an opportunity, and you think it's big, if bigness matters for you. It has never been solved, it's impossible. This is where the algorithms come in. These guys know that such and thus, if this is an opportunity, whether for money, whether for just major problem, it is solvable through the algorithms. And that's what gives them the courage. So now I come to your point. There's no such thing as a stage only, one stage only in algorithms. It's in the infancy. So what is going to come through those combinations for some time to come, then I don't know what comes from there. But anybody who thinks it is impossible to do, get some young kid to come out and say, okay, can it be solved through the algorithms? And that's what drives them. That's how we did on the capsule to come back. That's how we did in the batteries. That's why they have the Google X. And these guys have these skills in that area. But until for the next 5-10 years, that's what's driving it. It still does not exclude wisdom, judgment, drilling. That will always be needed. But you don't have to do the drudgery. Please note, I'm doing in one company, and that is the old idea, managers managing managers got to go. Millennials will not want physical supervision, and there's no need to it. So I have a company that tells me 10 layers. I was in this conference for another reason, not for presentation. I said, how many layers do you have? He said, 10. I said, you're dead. Why? I said, you got to apply the algorithms inside. You got to go to 3. If you have more than 3, you better start thinking. I have one in India, I've just begun to do it. They have 6 layers between the executive VP and the people who are selling to Kirana merchants. All you understand, Kirana merchants, all of you should know. I'm a product of India, don't forget that. I said, there's no way in hell you're going to make money out of it anymore. When these Mittals and Bansals and whoever else comes in, you got to take those layers out. But you cannot do that without the new technology of data and algorithm. It's not that difficult, by the way. I have companies where we go to a Bangalore company, 10 people there, we give them 10 weeks, and you get the damn thing done. But we need to take this initiative and open the region beyond India. Because I know there's nothing in Indonesia, Malaysia, Africa, and the Muslim world. There's just nothing there. And you can go globally. But we got to have our feet on the ground, learn how to do it, get the people to do it, experiment with it, go solid with it. Speeding up and scaling up is not that difficult once you figure out what it is. Is that? Yeah, please, microphone, please. Am I holding you between now and dinner here? Yes. Okay.
Two questions. What are the businesses you are most positive in India over the next 10 years? And what are the biggest challenges India is facing now?
I think the first question was, what are the biggest opportunities in India? My argument here, first I want to tell you, I'm not that familiar. I should be, but I'm not. My argument here is that, the opportunities for India, we should look not just in India, but at least on a regional basis, if not global, with our feet down. Because if you limit just to India alone, you don't see, in some cases, enough scale to do that. So there are plenty of these. Second, the opportunity in terms of business has to be profitable, and not what Sadhguruji said about charity and so on. So there could be a number of those, I would imagine that. And I think what Mr. Bihani is doing is a great opportunity to go forward there. Longer term, it could be renewable energy, but it's very longer term. It requires a lot of patience, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And there's a government involvement in these kinds of things, you do that. Now, what I have been told about your second question, I'm not here, but I get to see some people in private. The task of the government, in addition to many things, is to clean up the rust in the pipes of decision making. These are 100-year-old. How many laws one over the other? And it's not going to happen in one day. The second thing, I know some decisions are being made because I'm involved on one side, but they're not going to affect the whole public in a visible way. Those decisions are few but being made. And then see what happens here. We should keep the optimism. We have a good leader here. No leader is perfect, but we as business people need to go with it. Give feedback, work feedback, drive it. In one case, I was just traveling, somebody sitting next to me asked me some questions. Well, I just reacted, do something like this. The other day, I happened to run into him again, and he said, I did that. And the government made a decision. I said, that's interesting. I want to come and see him and learn exactly what he did. Because I was just shooting my breeze. I said, do this way. Yeah, just like this. So I feel positive. We are not there yet. We have a long way to go. Leaders keep positive in a real sense. Keep finding simple ways to shape the place. Never be disrupted. Never. That's leadership. Sony has not yet recovered. Philips, not yet recovered. It's people, it's human beings. And say, you are leaders. Our leaders in America, in these places, 700 engineers, 10,000 engineers. We have them here. But let's focus and drive it. Keep bringing FDI. I'm not for FII. I said that 5 years ago in an open television. No country, almost no country ever got built, including America, without FDI. I said target 200 companies from whom the FDI will come. I said to one industrialist, I said, take the association guys with the minister. Lay it out, what do you need? You only need 10 companies in the world, put the FDI in that sector. And go to 3 sovereign fund investors, show them, find them what it is. Publicity is not going to take you very far. But we should work together to drive it.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure there are many more questions. Not all of them can be answered today. Thank you, Dr. Ramcharan, for those insightful words.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Bihani, for making us a part of this experience. And to close the evening, I would request Mr. Bihani to come back again on the stage and felicitate Dr. Ramcharan.
Token of appreciation.
Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
And now I would request Mr. Kishore Behani to give a vote of thanks, please.
Once upon a time in India, we were called Sone Ki Chidiya. We used to be 28% of the world's trade. And we decided 9 years ago that the insignia of Future Group will be Sone Ki Chidiya. And how can Sone Ki Chidiya title come back to India? I believe consumption is what will drive India's title to Sone Ki Chidiya. If every Indian consumes more than 1,000 rupees a year, our GDP can grow by 2%. I think we have been created a mindset when we were a land of shortages that we should not spend money. So I will encourage you all to spend the money and spend money in Future Group stores. I think our economy will prosper, our GDP will grow, and the Sone Ki Chidiya title probably will come back to again. So the Sone Ki Chidiya probably is in our hands. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I will look forward to sharing some more time and carry the Sone Ki Chidiya to you.
Thank you. And now we come to the end of this wonderful evening. Thank you for making time. Please join us for cocktails and dinner outside. Thank you all. Good night.